guys, welcome back to my channel, Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. So tonight we're going to be going over episode number 5 of The Oval called Allies. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first scene opens up with Barry and Miss Nancy. They are asked to identify the body of crazy Ruth. Okay, so Miss Nancy says she can't do it. Barry says, okay, I'll do it. So he goes down there, he sees the body, and he's like, what happened? So finds out that her face was mutilated, but even though her face was unrecognizable, she had a tattoo that was recognizable and a scar that Barry identified. So he got a positive ID on Crazy Ruth's body, and that was that. Okay, next we have Richard telling Sam that he got fired, and Sam wants him to wait until Don comes in. That's the chief of staff. Until Don comes in so they could talk to him to see if they can get things cleared up. Okay, but then they see on the news that this old man was shot while sleeping in his bed by a stray bullet. And guys, we all know where that stray bullet came from, right? The tussle that Barry and Richard had over that gun. And remember, the lady, she came out screaming, oh, they shot him, right? And I knew that we did not hear the end of it when we saw that. Okay, so now we have the answer that this poor innocent man was shot while he was sleeping in his own home. All right, so it's very unfortunate what happened with that. Okay, so now we have Richard. He goes to tell Sam about Callie being taken, and he needs his help. Okay, so he's basically trying to get Sam involved because he knows that he's telling Sam, okay, we told the cops, Barry and Nancy went to the cops, but we need a little more help. I doubt if that's going to get us anywhere. So with the Secret Service on his side, Richard obviously believes that they're going to gain more ground. Okay, Sam tells Richard, okay, let me make some calls to see what kind of favors I can pull. All right, next we have Don arriving at the White House. And he asks Sam how Kyle was assigned to him. And Sam tells Don that Kyle asked, okay? And Don is like, all right, reassign him to somebody else. And Sam's like, why? What did he do? And he said he did nothing. He's just not a good fit for me and my wife, okay? So reassign him. So Sam says, okay. Then Sam lets Don know that Richard was fired, and he would like him to try to talk to the president about that, look into it or whatever. First, Don was saying, no, there's nothing I could do about that. The president fired him. That's out of my hands. But then Sam was saying, all right, but you know that Richard is a good man, right? And you know his son didn't do this. So Don says, okay, let me see what I can do, but it's definitely not going to happen today. So get rid of him, meaning get rid of Richard. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, where the heck is the president, and when is he going to issue this apology that he's supposed to give to Richard? Okay, and it never came throughout this whole episode. There's no way. I am jumping the gun a little bit right now, but there's no way that Richard should have went through this whole episode without getting an apology from the president. That just goes to show what kind of scumbag this guy is, and I'm talking about Hunter. What type of scumbag he really is as a person. Forget about a political leader, not any of that. He's just a scumbag. And as we go along in the episode, we really get to see this guy's personality. He's got these people scrambling and wondering what the heck they're going to do to help Richard when all he needs to do is apologize because his daughter has confessed that Barry did not touch her and that she lied. So that's that. Anyway, so then we have Sam. He calls Kyle to tell him that he's being replaced. And Kyle acts all surprised when Sam tells him that Don does not want him on his detail. And I'm like, why the heck is Kyle acting surprised when Don told the guy to his face he does not want him on his detail, okay? It's crazy. This guy is a real nut job. It appears that he is a real nut job. Okay, so anyway, we see Bobby recuperating in what looks like Kyle's guest room, as he's finished as Kyle is finished talking on the phone with Sam, we see him in the room and laying down. And he's like, why don't you just go after the guy? You know what I mean? Basically, Bobby is telling Kyle, why don't you just go after him? Why don't you just go after Don? Because what you're doing right now is a bit much and it might not even work. So Kyle ain't trying to hear it. He just wants Bobby to shut up and hurry up and get better so he can get up out of his house. Okay, next we got Don coming into the Oval to talk first day's business with President Hunter. Okay, but the first thing the president could bring up is the night he had with his mistress and, oh, if this desk could talk and all this other bull crap that he's talking about. So Don naturally assumes that it's, Victoria, his wife, that he's talking about. But Hunter quickly tells him, bite your tongue. Like, it's just unspeakable and just unfathomable and just a disgusting thing for him to say, for him to be having sex with his own wife, And so once Don finds out that Hunter is not talking about his wife and he's talking about a mistress, he immediately does not want to feed into it and he wants to continue on with the agenda for the day, okay? But old President Scumbag is relentless and he keeps talking about the mistress. He just insists on being unprofessional and talking about what his freaky mistress likes to do. And I am kind of starting to understand where his son Jason's sexual inappropriateness comes from. Because it's just so, just for this guy to be the president and to be speaking so freely about all this stuff with the chief of staff on the first day. It's like, come on, get a little familiar first, guys. You know what I mean? Anyway, so now I don't know if they had a relationship before this, him and Don, but it doesn't matter. Like, this is time to act like the president, not for you to be talking about, your freaky dreams. So, whatever you want to do with your mistress and all that crap. Like, get to work as the president. Turn it off. Know when to turn it off. All right, so the president tells Don that he wants the woman to come back tonight. Then he tells Don that he wants to go golfing, in which Don tells him is not a good idea on the first day in office. So they get to talking eventually about how their wives are out shopping together, and Hunter tells Don that it's weird because Victoria hates shopping. We already know, like I told you guys in the last video, Victoria wants to go shopping because she found out where the heck this woman was on Instagram or social media. And that was just her way of going to confront the woman. Okay. Anyway, so Don says maybe it has something to do with being more relatable, right? And Hunter says, has she seen her threat assessment? And Don says, oh, no. And, so Hunter's like, why not? I've seen mine. And Don is telling him, well, it's because hers is a little more sensitive because it's more racial. And Hunter, he's loving that because he now wants Don to give him Victoria's threat assessment so he can just throw it in her face. He's just despicable. So President Hunter also goes on to say that if someone killed Victoria, they would be doing him a huge favor. And naturally, Don said, oh, I know you're joking. And Hunter's like, do I look like I'm playing? And he's like, he didn't say anything. Don just looked at him like, oh my gosh, So then Hunter goes on to say, oh, how about, what would it take for me to pull back on some of her details, some of her security detail? And Don is just like, that is definitely something that I do not suggest. I have to definitely oppose. Next, we got Gail, and she's on her laptop in her room, and she's looking on Picky's page, and she sees that Picky and Barry are cousins, but then I guess she sees this chick on Picky's Instagram. So she calls Picky and she's like, what are you doing? Is that girl with you? And you have this girl on your page. I think the girl's name was Rachel or something like that. I don't really remember, but it's definitely not right now it doesn't seem relevant. The most relevant thing that I see about this situation is that Picky really wants Gail to leave him the heck alone, and she's not getting it through her head. You know, it's almost as if she thinks she can kind of boss him around and kind of tell him, the way she was talking to him, like, come see me, you know, the way she talked, come see me. Like, she kind of talks to him as if she's giving orders, like how she does in the White House. And this guy is like, no, you come with the cops. And I told you I'm not trying to do this with you. But then she's telling him, oh, I love you. It's not my fault that we're in this situation and all that stuff. So he basically just hung up on her because he's over it at this point. Anyway, so next we have Lillie at the White House waiting for Victoria to come out of her room. And guess who's walking through the hallways naked again? That's right, Mr. Creepy Jason. Okay, so to be honest, guys, I'm starting to feel a little bit uneasy about this whole naked walking through the hall Jason stuff. Like, it just makes me feel uneasy. I don't want to see it too much, you know. I don't think they need to be showing him walking through the halls naked that much. Like, we saw it last week, we saw it this week. Hopefully that's it. Like, we already see what kind of kid this is, and I really don't think it's necessary for us to continue to see him naked in the hallway. Like, it's just creepy. My thing is, I just don't like perverts. So I don't want to keep seeing this freaking kid doing these crazy things and if no one's going to do anything about it, you know? Anyway, so Victoria finally comes out and she tells Lillie that she wants her to take her to this certain store, which is clearly trashy and unfirst lady-like, right? Because Lillie is telling her that the store is, you know, unconventional for a first lady, and so did Yuma, basically, in so many words. Okay, but then Gail comes out and she's walking past people without saying hello and all this stuff, and she's walking right down the stairs, and Victoria's like, where are you going? Gail's ignoring her, and Victoria said, I'm talking to you, I asked you a question, where are you going? She's telling her mother to go to hell. Like, just totally rude, of course, typical Gail. So they finally get downstairs. The mother's telling her, get your butt upstairs. She's telling her mom, leave me alone. I'm not going upstairs. And so, long story short, Victoria tells Yuma to tase her daughter. Okay? And I'm sorry, but I really was cracking up. This episode had me cracking up a little bit. All right. Anyway, so Yuma's like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't tase your daughter. Like, I wouldn't know what to do in that. If I was in Yuma's freaking shoes, I would feel so uncomfortable. Okay. And what happened would have had to happen that way. Like, the first lady, she would have had to take the taser from me so she could tase her own daughter. But, you know, I don't know why Gail messes with this woman. She has a crazy mother. Why would she not even think that her mother would tase her? Like, she's freaking crazy. Anyway, I like Victoria, though. I ain't gonna lie. Anyway, so Priscilla and Jean, they're in the kitchen and they hear this commotion. So they come out right in time to see Victoria tasing her daughter. All right. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, they're like, this girl is getting what she deserves. But we'll find out later if that's true or not. Anyway, so next we have Victoria showing up at Denise's trashy boutique. And at first she thinks it's Hunter. When I say she, I mean Denise. She thinks, because she sees all the Secret Service pulling up in front of her boutique. And she's putting her makeup on, trying to get cute. Like, oh, this definitely has to be Hunter. So then when the First Lady comes in, you know, her face changes. And she's like, Madam First Lady. Did she say Madam First Lady or Miss First Lady? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, she says First Lady. And she greets her. She's respectful and all that stuff. You know, they're going back and forth with their fake politeness. And eventually, they get to the point where Victoria says, I know that you came to the White House to be with my husband. And but she says, I like to try on something. Can you please show me the dressing room? So Denise goes and escorts Victoria into the dressing room. Another moment that just had me cracking up. And when she shows us to the dressing room, guys, guess what happens? She closed that door. She started taking off her shoes. She put the Vaseline on. And she went straight up in attack mode and set it off on Denise, okay? And so they're in there rumbling, and they're fighting. Denise is fighting back, you know what I'm saying, getting her hits in. And so the Secret Service tries to come in, and she's like, get the heck out of here, get the heck out of here. Like, she don't want nobody breaking nothing up. She don't want no help or nothing. She's like, I'm settling this, and that's that. So they in there fighting, and Denise was getting some good hits in, okay? She was actually doing some haymakers and, you know, getting some punches in. Freaking Victoria was slapping. Like, what is this? The freak is kind of, what the heck is that? But anyway, in the end, you know, she got her on the floor and she was banging her freaking head on the floor, talking about Victoria doing this to Denise, and then she gave her a few kicks. And then she walks out, like she grabs her freaking shoes and walks out the door like nothing happens, okay? And I'm just like, this is just too hilarious. And they're out there just like, what? First of all, they're out there and they're listening to these women fighting inside this dressing room. And if you guys really think about this, it's like, could you imagine something like this really happening in the White House, where you have the Secret Service people, like the security and all that? They're outside waiting. They're listening to these women fight because of some drama going on. All right, this chick sleeping with the president, and then the wife is in there fighting with her over it or whatever. It's just crazy, a whole bunch of drama. And these people have to stand outside and listen by the door. It's hilarious. Anyway, next we have Barry and Nancy coming home from the precinct or the court, whatever they said that place is, and they tell Richard that Ruth is dead. Barry's attitude in this episode was, you know, really bad to me. And by really bad, I mean, I know that he's concerned about his daughter, but he seems to be very insensitive to any and everything except for his daughter, of course. And when I say insensitive, I mean he's kind of lashing out at his parents. Obviously, he lashed out at his girlfriend. And also, he seemed kind of insensitive about Ruth's death, you know. This is a woman that he's known since he was a younger kid. And, you know, even though they had their issues, he didn't seem bothered at all by, you know, her being dead and what happened to her, like it going out in that terrible way. So, you know, whatever. He just I don't know if they're gonna make him any better, you know, as far as his character goes, but I don't really like him. I mean, it's not that I can't stand him like I can't stand Hunter already, but I don't really like this guy Barry, like his attitude, you know. Anyway, so next we have Victoria asking Lillie to be her ally. They're driving in a car, you know, they're on their way back, and she says, you tell me about any whores my husband has, and I'll do the same for you. And Lillie is like, oh, my husband doesn't cheat. And she says, oh, all men cheat, they just haven't got caught. And Lillie is very persistent about it, like, no, my husband does not cheat. Don is a good man. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. And, oh, he's a good man. He doesn't deserve me. And so Victoria says, oh, so you cheat. And then, of course, Lillie lies and says no, but Victoria wasn't trying to hear it. And she tells her, listen, if you want your husband to believe you, you better work on that poker face, girl. Next, we have Kareem bringing Sharon lunch, okay, from her favorite vegan spot that's 40 miles away. Like, he had to no, not 40 miles, 40 minutes away. And he had to let her know that it was 40 minutes away, guys. You know why? Because he's trying to tell her that he will go the extra mile for her, okay? But anyway, he did this because he did this as a peace offering, all right, to her for, the nonsense he started earlier, okay? So then he goes on to tell her, you can talk to me about anything and that I'm here if you need me. And all I could think of is, Barry, you better watch out, okay? Because this girl is about to be snatched from under you by this guy. And let me tell you something as well. He's not bad to look at, okay? But then, moments later, we find that Kareem, it has a woman of his daggone own. So this little freaking sly little dog over here trying to charm some other woman, some other man's woman, okay? But he has his own woman at home, or I don't know, at home, whatever. He got his own woman, and he over here trying to buy lunch that's 40 minutes away for some other chick that belongs to somebody else. And then he forgetting about the flyers to put out for the old man that got shot, because his girlfriend came in and she was giving all kinds of attitudes to Sharon, because clearly she sees that something's up between her man, or the way her man interacts with Sharon, or something. Like she knows something's up. But anyway, shame on Kareem. Anyway, so next we got Sam and Priscilla talking, and she actually said that she actually told Sam that she feels bad for the kids in a weird kind of way. And like I said earlier, I thought that because she wanted to poison she said she was going to poison her, which I doubted if she would, but she couldn't stand Gail, right? So I thought she would have been like, oh, that's good for her that she got tased. But she said she felt bad for her, which is, that's fine. All right, so then Priscilla tells Sam that Gail is out of control and she saw her taking naked selfies. She also told Sam that he needs to watch Jason around Jean. That's the maid. Watch Jason around Jean. And Sam says, okay. And I heard him before when they were talking, he called her babe, and I was like, wait a minute, so they're together? So I didn't know that Priscilla and Sam were in a relationship. I don't remember them calling each other babe or anything like that thus far. So this is a new revelation for me, at least, because I didn't catch it before. All right, so then as they kiss goodbye, Mr. Creepazoid is standing there watching them, right? He just appears, and I'm talking about Jason. He just freaking appears, and he wants to know if that's where the staff comes in and out. And then he's asking all these other crazy questions, like, where the staff stays. And so Priscilla says that they stay with the butlers. Where do the maids stay? And he says they stay with the butlers. So she lied, obviously, and basically saying that it was co-ed. But, she's trying to do whatever she can, clearly, to keep this little creep away from Jean, because she knows that there's trouble brewing with this guy. Okay, so but Priscilla did say, we can schedule you a tour, and he says, no, I prefer exploring on my own. Yeah, we know you do. All right, so lastly we have Nancy in her kitchen, and she sees one of her kitchen knives missing, and of course she's thinking, oh boy, because the first thing that comes to her mind is the fact that cop or detective or whoever the heck that lady was, when she was asking for Barry's alibi for the night before, and the fact that Ruth was stabbed with a kitchen knife. Okay, so now we have a kitchen knife that's missing from her own house. Now, I don't think Barry did this, okay? That knife could have easily been taken when the Rackadoochies came to take Callie away. All right, this could have been a plan of theirs the whole time. Their plan could have been to kill Ruth, right? They took the kitchen knife and then they did it to possibly frame Barry, all right? Plain and simple. These Rackadoochie people, they sound like they like to have little girls, in their cult, and they probably more so want the little girls there without their actual mothers. So that probably was the plan all along. All right, guys, so that's all I have for tonight. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Okay, let me know what you thought about Victoria tasing her own daughter. All right, let me hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you think Barry killed crazy Ruth? I don't think so. But what do you guys think? Do you think that, because let me tell you something. Richard, this is what I forgot to say. Richard didn't even mention anything else about this old man who died from that stray bullet. Does he even realize when he was watching the story, does he even realize that this old man was shot by the bullet that him and his son were tussling over? That's my question, because I wasn't sure. It seemed like he realized it and then he kind of went right into something else, you know, asking Sam for a favor. So I don't know. I don't think he realizes it. But anyway, do you guys think that this is something, if they do find out, will he confess to it? Will they do some type of investigation with the gun? Like, if the gun was registered. Okay, so there, first of all, that gun was taken from his cousin. So we don't need that gun going back and being traced back. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's leave that alone. We're going to leave that alone. Anyway, but what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that this whole thing is going to blow up in their faces? Or is someone going to confess? Like, I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Hit that post notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you and have a blessed one. Bye-bye.